Today's episode of Wine Time Fridays is brought to you in part by our friends at Liberty Lake Wine Cellars and Cinder.
It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and multiple guests for this, it's multiple, for a very special episode, one of our Wine is Like Music episodes. Shelley, it's episode 317, May 15th. Happy Friday, it's Wine Time. Okay, with us today, we have two really special guests, and no disrespect to David, but really a special guest with Jennifer Brummett. That is how you pronounce your last name, Brummett?
It is.
I'm learning how to read, and I'm doing okay, just barely. Jennifer is a French horn player, and she's been playing, there it is. And it is a very sparkly wine. It's the first thing I said when she brought it out. I'm like, wow, that's pretty. Jennifer, will you tell us real briefly a little overview about your career and how you got started in this while I open our first wine? Well, we're going to go to David. We know David from episode 264 last year.
So now he's
1 year and 6 days from today ago. So, Jennifer, the
Yes,
spotlight is on you.
fantastic. Well, when I was in middle school, we had the choice what instrument we were going to choose. And first I chose the flute, and my mother said, too many people choose the flute. And then I chose the drum set. And I think she worked something out with the band director who came up to us at an ice cream stand in the summer and said, too many people signed up for drums. So I picked the sparkly one. And of course, I fell in love with the sound of it.
I love that. And your mom didn't have to put up with the sound of the drum.
Yeah.
David, welcome back to Wine Time Fridays. A little bit about you and we are going to have 3 bells up moments during this episode today. I'm so excited. A little bit about Bells Up, one of our newest sponsor.
Yeah, so Bells Up, first of all, I have to say it's really funny. The story about how I got on a French horn is very, very similar to Jennifer's. When I was in middle school, my father was a trombone player. I didn't want to play the same instrument he did, so you go in and you sign up. There were about 35 kids signed up for trumpet. I didn't want to carry a tuba around. And the baritones were kind of the socially awkward kids, so that sort of left me as a French horn player, and so I played for the better part of 20 years. And so it became sort of the inspiration for Bells Up Winery. We're a very, very small micro boutique winery located in Newberg, Oregon, roughly about 25 miles southwest of Portland in the lovely Willamette Valley. I am the owner, the winemaker, the tractor driver, the janitor, pretty much everything except marketing. And my lovely wife, Sarah, is responsible for that and way better at it than I am. But we really embrace the small model. We make 600 cases a year. We don't sell our wines in stores, restaurants, but we ship our wines all over the country. So unless you live in Utah or Kentucky, we can get wine directly to you at your home, weather dependent, of course. But really, what we want to do is we want to sort of take every wine consumer as they are. And that's one of the nice things about the micro boutique model is that we have the opportunity to really take, whether you're brand new to wine or whether you're very, very experienced in wine, we will talk to you. We will not talk over your head. We will not throw a bunch of techno babble at you. For us, wine is just a passion. It's something we enjoy in our everyday lives. And so we really want to be able to share that with our customers.
So, like I said, we had David on. Now, I find it funny that your wife, Sarah, the marketing person, will not come on camera with us. We will whittle away and get her on at some point.
Just wear her down over time. I have faith you can do it.
I have faith I can do it too. So what I just opened is a 2024 Bells Up Rhapsody Pinot Blanc. I'm not gonna lie, Shelley and I listened to a few classical tunes on the way over to get us in the mood.
We went to the symphony.
And we did go to the symphony the other night. So what I want to do is, before we have Jennifer play what she's tasting.
Yeah, taste.
She has taste, exactly. But David, can you, let's do a proper Wine Time Fridays toast to health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance, and
Peace on earth.
Cheers.
I don't see your glass, David.
I need to grab one. Sorry.
Unbelievable. Sarah said she was setting you up. Boy, I've got my. Oh, we're tasting.
Me too. Nice and dry. Excellent.
So, Pinot Blanc, a mutation, genetic mutation anyway, of Pinot Noir, yeah.
Which is something that a lot of people don't know.
But it behaves really differently. This way back in my mouth and my tongue. It's still there, by the way. Tell us a little bit about this wine while Jennifer is formulating things in her mind.
Yeah, so as you said, Pinot Blanc is a genetic mutation of Pinot Noir. For reasons that we don't entirely understand, the Pinot Noir grape is susceptible to mutations. It happens all the time out in the wild. You can grow a vine that's been producing red Pinot Noir fruit for 15 years and come out in year 16, and all of a sudden it's now producing white grapes. And this has actually happened on a handful of vines in our vineyard, and I think it kind of happens to everybody sooner or later. It's just sort of a question of what it mutates into. I think most people are familiar with Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio, which is sort of the brother or I guess half-brother cousin of Pinot Blanc. Yeah. And the difference between Pinot Gris and Pinot Blanc comes down to complexity. Pinot Blanc keeps a lot of the complexity in terms of flavor and mouthfeel and texture that Pinot Noir has. And Pinot Gris became a much simpler, much more straightforward wine. And it really isn't that one is better than another. It's just that I like things that I personally find a little more interesting. And so Pinot Blanc does that for me.
Why did you name it Rhapsody?
So the whole principle behind how we do things at the winery, obviously we have the music theme. The idea was, when people start a winery, so often, you see it, they name it after themselves, their kid, their dog. It's stuff that matters to the owner, but I wanted to find different ways for just every customer to be able to connect, not just with us, but the individual wines themselves. And that's where the music really plays into that. And so what I thought about was, with wine, it so much is about it's what you taste, but it's also how you feel. What does that make you feel? Does it make you feel warm? And then what does it feel when the wine is actually in your mouth? What is the experience that you're having? And so what I decided to do was give each of our wines a personality, and then tie that personality to a piece of music or a composer. We're going to have examples of both here in our lineup today. But it was really all about how did it make you feel. So in this case, we named this after Rhapsody in Blue. I always tell people when you come here, there are two pieces that I expect people to know. This is one of them. Everybody has heard Rhapsody in Blue. It's a jazzy piece, but there's a lot of structure and substance that keeps it together to kind of keep it classical, to keep it from getting to like the full jazz. Well, this is a wine that has citrus flavor. It has some zinginess to it, but it's controlled. There is also a creaminess, which is something that I do in the production of the wine. And the idea here is I don't want the acidity of this to be so much in your face. We want it to be there, but we want it to be a little bit more subtle, a little bit more constrained. And when you listen to Rhapsody in Blue, you hear that same jazziness, but it's contained sort of within this larger structure. And in the case of the wine, that larger structure is provided by that creaminess. It kind of gives it a little bit of weight, and it just allows what you taste in the front half of the wine to make its way. I mean, Phil, you were talking about being able to get the finish on this. We see so many white wines that don't have a finish with fruit, or it finishes with acid, or God forbid with oakiness. And I want this to finish with fruit. I mean, we work our butts off in the vineyard to get this beautiful flavors and things. Why would we want to cover that up in any way? So this is a nice kind of technique way to be able to allow those natural components that the fruit has anyway to come out and really be the thing that people feel and remember.
Well, so we are going to turn our focus to Jennifer, has had a sip of this. She's been trying not to let her mouthpiece collect dust while we were waiting. And so, Jennifer, have at it. Thank you so much. That is so cool.
That does feel like this.
So French horn players don't often get solos.
Oh, they get solos, but they don't often improvise.
Well played. That's been the kind of the challenge on this, to get Jennifer past the, I don't have any notes in front of me, so I'm going to have to, and that was beautiful.
Oh, I'm glad you did.
That was fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it.
I liked it so much that it prompted me to finish my class. So, David, what do you think about that? Does that coincide with kind of what you're trying to put in the glass a little bit?
I mean, I'm glad it's her doing it and not me. And it's absolutely fantastic. And, and the best part about kind of doing the music and the wine this way, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. Wine so often, you guys know, wine so often gets treated as technical, as highbrow. I want wine to be fun and to put a smile on your face. And, this is also the real benefit of bringing the music into it. For some reason, the way my brain works, when I taste the wine, I'm hearing it as much as I'm tasting it. And so when you can listen to, somebody coming up with the own interpretations, it's a lot of fun, and just kind of watch that develop.
So I'm going to mention a few things about Jennifer's background. She holds a Bachelor of Music degree from the prestigious, or if we're prestigious, if we're in Europe. Anyway, at the Juilliard School and Maestro of Music degree from Southern Methodist University, SMU. What is SMU? Is it the Tigers? What's their mascot? Mustangs. Dang it.
And where are they?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
Southern Methodist, yep. Spokane Symphony Connection. We're actually recording in Spokane Valley. She has served as the principal horn of the Spokane Symphony for over a decade. She's since moved on to other ventures, but she continues to perform with the symphony as an occasional star. Well, I put guest artist, but
that's one way to put it.
There we go. So here's some. She actually toured with Frank Sinatra.
I did.
That is, now, David, did you ever tour with Frank?
I never toured. Um,
That is,
no, I played semi-professionally a few years after I graduated from undergrad, and that's as far as I got. I had some amazing experiences performing. I mean, I'm one of the few people that say, "Hey, I got to play in Carnegie Hall," and some other things, but nothing even close, nothing even close to what she's accomplished.
well, she performed as principal horn on Frank Sinatra's Diamond Jubilee International Tour, showcasing her versatility across genres, which we are seeing here today. Oh, you have something? I don't know. Okay, no,
It was a fun trip. We actually got to go to Mexico City.
really. How long was the tour?
It was really not very long.
Yeah.
My portion was only it was less than a week, but he had done the European part already, and when he came back to Dallas, I got to do San Antonio and Mexico City, and it was a arena of, it must have sat 20,000 people. It was a little bit scary the way that they were in love with him, and he was 75 years old.
Yeah. Was he still? I mean, as he got up in age, he struggled a little bit about hitting notes, right?
No.
Did he have
He had the charisma. I think that's one of the things that certain artists, I don't know what it is. You don't have to have technique when you have that kind of charisma.
Tony Bennett would forget everything in his life, and then he had a keyboard piano player sit down, start playing. He would just know every lyric to every song he's ever sang, and it just comes out. And it's amazing how our little brains work. And today she came from Whitworth. Am I right? Came from Whitworth.
I did.
You are teaching music there.
I taught 7 lessons today.
Really? So this has been a day for Jennifer. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to pour Pinot Noir as we move through this episode. Wine is like music. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Jennifer Brummett and David Specter, winemaker, former French horn player, back in the day, which, by the way, he named his winery, Sarah was probably involved in that decision as well, at Bells Up Winery. But there's another reason as well. You live on Bells Road?
Bell Road, yep. I get a lot of questions. People say, "Oh, did they name the road after you?" And I wish I could say we were that cool and influential. There's a family with the last name of Bell, I believe, that's lived on this road for 3 generations, so they named it after them. But it really was very, very fortunate because we had the idea of the music theme. We sort of had all of those things I talked about earlier. All of that was sort of laid out, and the last part of it was, what are we going to name the winery? And then once Bell Road came into play, it was incredibly obvious. And for horn players, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let Jennifer talk about it because she knows exactly what it means and can describe this every bit as well as I can.
Please do.
Well, Bells Up is a way to have the sound project even more into the room than it normally would. The French horn has a really unique sound in that it's mostly a reflected sound, not quite so direct as trumpet or trombone. And so when we want to get a little more brashness to our character, then we can have the horn kind of aloft. And it just creates this new set of overtones. Pretty cool.
So you will play that horn in various positions then? Depending on
the character of the music.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I just opened the 2022 Bells Up Winery Titan. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to tuck this right behind my iPad, so it looks like it's going right up in my nose. Anything you want to say about this? Now we're going to taste 2 different Pinot Noirs that are really different. And David, most people will have trouble identifying the differences on these wines, or am I just talking wrong? No.
Well, I think most people will be able to tell that there are differences, and those differences are very intentional. This happens with a lot of wineries in the Willamette Valley, where the people make a lot of Pinot Noir. People will make multiple Pinot Noirs, and so often you do run into this problem of going in and tasting 2, 3, 4 Pinots, and when you walk out, you feel like, okay, maybe I'm a dummy, but I can't tell the difference between any of them. And we discovered that issue fairly early on, and had to sort of think about ways so that every Pinot that we make really would have its own unique character and personality. I wanted folks that did not have super sophisticated palates, and God knows I don't have one, to be able to really feel and sense that there were differences. People can, people may prefer, certain ones over certain other ones, but the idea was, can you at least tell that this has been constructed differently? And so that's sort of what you're going to see as we go through the two we have. I make 4 different Pinots. They all have what I call a distinctive shape to it. And the shape is based more on what you feel versus what you taste. The idea is, when wine gets on your palate, it doesn't just stay in one place, right? You feel a lot of different things. You'll feel differences in intensity. You'll feel, okay, it increases and then it decreases. Or, okay, it's working from front to back, but sometimes it works in a circle. Sometimes it works in all those different shapes will give you different personality profiles. And you don't really have to change very much about the construction of the wine itself in order to do that. You just have to be very intentional about getting that done. So what we're going to be tasting with Titan is a wine that is inspired by Gustav Mahler's Symphony No. 1. I think every horn player out there will tell you that Mahler is probably the best friend that, well, I'd say this about really any brass player, but especially a horn player has. And then probably the second best friend is coming up next. But the idea here was, that I wanted the feeling of this to be a very gentle wave. I wanted to slowly build in intensity from the tip of your tongue into the center of your tongue, followed by a long, soft, the finish on this lasts forever, but it's very, very soft. And the idea here was Mahler's first is really full of these undulations. You get these rises and falls and rises and falls. This symphony is, I believe, is Mahler's shortest, clocking in at a cool 45 minutes. So for folks that aren't accustomed to it, I grant that it does take a little time to get used to sort of his rhythms and kind of how he does it. But the experiences that you will get by listening to Mahler are unlike, I believe, any other composer. I mean, his ability to really take all of your senses and just put you into his world, I think is unparalleled for a composer. So when we were talking about, pieces and wines to use, there was zero question that Titan was going to be one of the wines or one of the pieces that we used.
Well, Jennifer looked over and gave me this eye like she's ready to sip this. So we're going to hashtag cheersing. Mahler's Titan. This can still lay down.
Oh, goodness, yes. This is the 2022 vintage, so it's still coming into its own. One of the interesting things to always talk about with Oregon wines is because our weather patterns are very different from one year to the next, you're really going to get variations in just personality profile. 2021, for example, was a very hot year in the valley, so we get a lot of wines that are a little bit more powerful. 2022 was a cooler year. I mean, we were harvesting, whereas in 2021, we were harvesting in the middle of September. In 2022, we were harvesting in the middle of October. So we're getting a softer, more elegant wine, which personally, I prefer. But sometimes, it takes those wines just a little bit of time to kind of get themselves together. And so I think that's sort of a little bit what you're seeing. But I'm very, very pleased with how this wine is tasting already. But absolutely, I mean, if you have the space and the time and the self-discipline, laying this down for a few years wouldn't hurt at all.
Well, so for those of you watching on YouTube, Shelley and Jennifer swapped places because David said he didn't really hear that first piece at all, which is a little possibly disappointing. So we swapped places. David is going to give me a thumbs up once Jennifer starts playing to this wine. I loved it. There's something you did in the middle there that I didn't expect, and it went there, and I'm like, ooh, that was nice. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I kind of looked at Shelley and nodded. Yeah, do it. Oh, okay. That was beautiful. This is so much fun. By the way, this is completely out of Shelley and out in my comfort zone.
Me too.
Well, in a different way, in a completely different way. Yeah, David, all you need to do right now is just talk about your wine, which you do every day, and just listen to someone play one of your favorite instruments, And so this time, David, you heard that. What did you think about that rendition?
Absolutely, as expected, beautiful. You're at the finale of Mahler 1. This is one of those moments when the horns really get to come into their own, and it's triumphant, and so many of Mahler's symphonies end very triumphant. Not all, but most do. But we can only put ourselves back, in his time and imagine hearing this for the first time, and just how just exhilarating it makes you feel.
He said a word I have no idea what it means. No, anthropomorphic or something. What was it? Do you know what it means?
It's exciting.
What was the word?
Exhilarating.
No, he did. Do you
did?
No, you said anthropomorphic, something on the style.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm probably one of my other personalities chimed in and I wouldn't know. But I thought it would be a good time to bring up the Pilgrim's Market wine word of the week since we were talking about a word, and that is attack. Now, we have two definitions of attack. One is in wine. Well, okay, in music. I put music first. You want to do that?
I'll just read it. It refers to the very beginning of a note, how the player starts the sound. Is it sharp and punchy or soft and gradual?
That makes sense, yeah. The way you attack a piece, right?
Well, the way you attack a pitch or each note you play can have a different attack. And so if you feel like your wine has a lot of strength and body, you're going to use, as a wind player, you're going to use a lot of air to fill up the room with your sound. Yeah. And the speed with which you use it at the beginning of the note can, as Shelley said, make a punch, or it can sneak in and give you a completely different feel.
Well, as David mentioned, it clocks in at a cool 45 minutes, the time beat. But does it also depend on the tempo in which the music is played, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it could come in 46, could come in 42.
Like your wine could last 40 minutes or only 5.
Thank you.
And it's all intention. It's all intention. It's, what does the composer want? And then you talk about, what does the what conductor want? And all of that kind of has to work together to get to the art.
The variables. In wine, attack means
Very first impression of wine makes on your palate. It's that initial burst of acidity or fruit before the mid palate takes over.
attack works in both wine and music.
Can be true.
It can be true.
Does this get affected by when you harvest your wines? The attack? When you harvest
That's more of when we're actually attacking long days and long nights in the harvest process. But when we're blending the wines, the attack is the first thing that we think about. It's that first impression. I mean, it in a lot of ways, it overlaps so well, and why I'm glad we're talking about this on this episode, because what you're seeing is you don't need to be a classical music devotee to understand what is going on with these wines, to feel and hear what is going on with the music. It is very, very similar between the two. And it's a decision that a winemaker, well, one of the decisions that a winemaker has to make. It's what do you want that first impression to be? And as Jennifer said, do you want this to be something that is sort of just sort of gradually sneaks in and kind of builds up on you, or is it something that they want to grab right out of the bat? And you have to think about that not just in terms of that specific moment, but okay, how does that moment going to relate to the rest of the experience of having the wine on your palate? What's going to happen after that? And you've got an infinite number of options as a winemaker and as a composer as how you want to put that together. But ultimately, you start to see that there are certain ways that will sort of make sense. Just when you hear a melody that makes sense, it's not atonal or, something like that. You can identify with it. It just sounds right. There's a reason, I think, why people know certain pieces of classical music, even though they're not classical music, they haven't studied it or anything like that. But there are certain pieces, certain composers that I think just appeal to everyday folks just because of that, since those sensations and those feelings that go into the compositions.
Maybe like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's just rollicking fun right there. I mean,
We, as Shelley mentioned, we were at a symphony the other night.
Concert by Panhandle.
Yeah, it was really nice. All geared towards the 250th anniversary and birthday of our nation. So it was all American, which is pretty cool. What I'm struck by is the way Jennifer is ending these little interludes, and it's just this soft. I don't know. I mean, as a piano player, and I finish that chord and that note.
It's like boom.
Yeah, and you let the piano stop playing, and then you bring your foot off the sustaining pedal. But how you get that note to stretch and just dissipate is really cool. Really cool. Anyway,
Do I get to ring the bell?
You may. When we end this episode, you get to ring the bell. And it will be
she may want to play in that.
It'll be another sort of Bells Up moment. Ooh, I didn't know. So, and yes, you may. There we go. She can choose on the big or small. We're gonna take another break, and when we come back, we're gonna finish up with another Pinot and David Specter with Bells Up Winery and Jennifer Brummett, master French horn player.
Wow. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, episode 317 on this May the 15th. With our guests today, we have Jennifer Brummett playing the French horn and David with Bells Up Winery, his What was I going to say?
What were you going to say?
Former French horn player. I knew there was something foreign.
There may or may not be some issues with the actual music, but I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen on this last piece because I'm going to record from my phone because I can stick that right in. Anyway, the trials and tribulations, frustrations, and challenges that come with recording semi-live. I just opened up a 2022 Bells Up Winery Maestro. That is how you pronounce
Maestro.
that.
Close enough.
I just like, I'm from Hawaii, and I want to.
So every vowel is pronounced. Yes.
The only part of that statement that's not true is that I'm not from Hawaii. So go ahead and pour this.
It just said.
We open it and then don't pour. That's wrong. David, tell us about this wine.
So this is a wine it's really only the second year that we've been making it. What I was inspired by is actually Petit Verdot, which is in Bordeaux. It's used as a blending grape, very, very small. But then in America, once in a while, you find it as a single varietal. And I kind of call it the soprano of the wine of the grape world, because where you feel it on your palate is way at the top of your palate. It kind of plays at the higher part of the register. I always like to grab a bottle when I find it somewhere. There's two things that it tends to lack, though. It lacks a little bit of depth and it lacks a little bit of length. So the question that I had to ask myself was, could I make a Pinot like this, except give it that little bit of depth and little bit of length that Petit Verdot can sometimes lack on its own? So that's what inspired Maestro. The inspiration for naming Maestro is for John Williams, and everybody knows who John Williams is. It's almost like, what movie has he not scored for? No, he didn't do Pirates, but other than that, he's done so many, and even if we weren't worried about things like copyright violations, how could you pick one John Williams piece to pay tribute to the man? Still in his early 90s, still composing, still conducting. It's really unbelievable. But, when you hear a John Williams score, the horns become so powerful in everything he ever did. And where the horns play, you always feel it. It soars all the way up above the rest of the orchestra. So that height and that ability to soar is sort of where I felt that we could take this and then put a wine with it that sort of played also in those upper registers. You feel the brightness and you just kind of feel you soaring up above everything.
So he scored Star Wars, Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, to name a few. And now Jennifer is going to taste this wine and do her own original score to this wine.
Cheers.
Hashtag cheers me.
Cheers. It is much different.
We're talking about the same grape, 100% Pinot Noir, done in a completely different style. That's taken my tongue back a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, it's hard to talk after this one.
It's got a wonderful sort of evolution to it. I'm enjoying it very much.
Well, Jennifer, let's see what. Oh, yes. Oh,
I have
drink
to
of
wait
water.
for the flavor to finish developing.
That's perfectly said, by the way.
So in the meantime, I can ask David if you had a favorite maestro back when you were actively playing the French horn.
Oh gosh. Really the two that when their music showed up on your stand, you were in for a really good time. We've just been dealing with them, Mahler and John Williams. But now the answer changes if you're talking about, are there concertos? Are there, pieces just written for horn and then accompaniment either with piano or with an orchestra? And then, I would look to Strauss, I would look to Mozart, And actually, one of my favorite pieces is from the French composer Camille Saint-Saëns. Wrote a wonderful horn piece that there is. Within the next couple of years, there is a new wine that will be coming out from us in honor of that particular concert piece. So stay tuned for that, over the next couple of years.
Is it more so, or is it the one for four?
More so.
Okay.
What would be your favorite Maestro, Jennifer?
Well, actually, when I hear the term Maestro, I think of conductor.
Yeah.
But I think I better play while I'm still inspired by this flavor.
Perfect. This is so much fun. I can't even tell you. David, did you hear that one all the way through?
Heard part of it.
Well, we've got it on my phone, so I know we'll get that one all the way through. Jennifer, that was fantastic. That one had a completely different tenor.
You can say that.
Timbre. Both are appropriate words, I think. But that one, you came in completely different on that one. And punchy.
Well, with authority was what I was thinking.
You attacked that really well.
Attack, yep.
That was great. What prompted you to do that style with this wine?
Well, when I think of Maestro, I think of the English word master, and so when you've mastered the flavor of something, you kind of want to shout it out to the world. When you've mastered your music, you just go to town. You sort of can't hold the music in. So that's what I always hope that I will see in a conductor, is that that it's like the music comes out of them, like they can't help it. It's just comes out of them. And some of the best conductors I've seen, I wouldn't say that they are incredibly clear, like technically, but because they feel the music so much, you can tell what they would like to have happen. And that's what exciting.
Does a good conductor have to be demonstrative?
Well, it helps. Yeah, it's amazing the difference. I got to play under the priest who was in Oregon, and it was almost as if you could see every 16th, which should have been confusing. But as I say, because he knew exactly in his mind where the music wanted to go, it came through the gestures, which were very unlike any other conductor I had ever seen.
So let me ask this. If you are playing a concert series and you have multiple nights that you're playing, same symphony, same conductor, will it sometimes change a little bit from night to night depending on his or her mood?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Very much.
Or everyone else's mood.
Yeah.
Well, but that shouldn't come into play really, because you were supposed to mimic what the conductor is wanting you to play, right?
Yes, but especially with symphonies, they'll have evening concerts and matinee concerts, and quite frankly, your body is in a different place at those times of day.
Sure.
And so so are the conductors. So it will respond differently and sound differently. I've often heard, if you listen to recordings, conductors from their early career into their late career, the early career, the tempos are always faster, and late career tempos are slower, and they suppose that is because the heartbeat in general is faster earlier in life, and because a conductor gains more ability to be expressive, so they're not afraid of the slow tempos.
Yeah,
We're not afraid of the style.
yeah. Well, sorry about that. I'm afraid of silence. Yeah, I was watching the conductor on, what was it, Tuesday night? Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. On Tuesday night, I was watching the conductor, and it was fascinating. I'm fascinating on where he's leading and the rhythm and the tempo and everything he's trying to pull from that entire orchestra. So it's a lot of fun. David, what did you think about that rendition? What you heard of it?
What I heard was marvelous, as again expected. And the best part, I think, of all of this, and you're getting to this, is the idea that you don't need to know everything about either the wine or the music to be taken on a journey. This is really the magic of these two things, bringing them together. Is it just gives anybody the opportunity for expression. I mean, obviously, Jennifer's a performer, but even for people that aren't performers, it will take, the wines and the music will take you on an individual journey that's going to be unique to you. And so, I don't know of any other thing in life that will really give you this sort of freedom and inspiration and just make you feel good about life.
Boy, amen to that. Amen to that.
Thank you for sharing your wines with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your talents with us and your ability. I know I'm learning so much more. Bells Up is our newest sponsor, and so we continue to learn more about Bells Up Winery, right? And of course, the story behind their winery. We did have them on episode 264 1 week and 6 days ago, and then we just clicked. We got 1 year. I put 1 week, 1 year and 6 days ago.
Time flies.
From a week to a year. Everybody knows not to listen to Phil, and yet he still keeps on talking. Anyway, we created a relationship. It was a good relationship. They are now a sponsor. We love them. David, Sarah, thank you so much. You guys are making amazing juice. I will say we have some wines we enjoyed this week, but I'm not going to read them all. But we do have two from our sponsors this episode. One was a Cinder Syrah. Oh, that comes off the tongue nice. And another was a Liberty Lake Petit Verdot. So I had to mention that because this may be one of the few Petit Verdots that just don't rip your tongue apart because it's such a powerful grape that's why they use it for a blending grape, right? Mm-hmm. But Mark does a really nice job there. You know what? Look at the show notes. You can see the announcements coming up with wine days. But we do have next week the Judgment of Paris 50th anniversary episode. We're taking a step back from Oregon Wine Month to honor that monumental. David, what do you remember? I mean, what do you think of when you hear about the Judgment of Paris? Let's put it that way.
Well, I was going to say what I remember. Let's see. I was 4. So yeah.
Change the question.
The Judgment of Paris, if probably the thing that it accomplished the most was that it really proved that America was capable of making wines, which is something that people in this country had known for years prior to that. But to get the confirmation on an international stage in France, and really that we could almost look to that as the beginning of really the prospering of the American wine industry. And over that time, it's amazing to think. I mean, when you said 50 years, I kind of had to think about it a little bit. It's like, geez, it really has been that long. But it may, without the Judgment of Paris, I'm not entirely convinced that Bells Up could exist.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Somebody,
But that's
but I mean,
amazing
point
information.
taken. But I mean, there were French judges in France. I mean, everyone expected a blowout of the Bordeaux and Burgundies and all of this, and it wasn't the case. And they've done, and we will talk about this next week, but they have also done a 20-year, a 30-year, and they revisited, and the American wines are still winning, right up there.
Let's see what they do this year.
We'll see. Yeah, it'll be fun. I do want to say a special thanks to today's sponsors, Liberty Lake Wine Cellars and Cinder, and a super huge thank you to Jennifer for going outside your comfort zone. It was amazing, and I knew that it would be fine because you played in front of 20,000 people with Frank Sinatra. I mean, David's the only star here next to Shelley. I'm just a schmo. And so thank you very much. David, thank you again for being here and just making terrific wines and proving the model that you don't have to be this huge winery to really take care of your consumer and the people coming and visiting and the experience that goes along with that. It is really unlike most wineries. So congratulations and kudos for that.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be on. I have a ton of fun with you guys, and I was so glad, Jennifer, we were able to get you on here today. It's God knows I can't play anywhere near as well anymore, so I'm glad you can do that on our behalf.
When I come visit you, we'll play a duet.
Yes, you'll have to.
Oh boy, pressure. Okay, for you, I'll do it.
Pressure is a privilege, David.
True.
And with that, with a little bit of knowledge, wine and music becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for joining us. Bring us out, Jennifer.
Oh, you have to go.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you, to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.